Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. Hey, everyone, I hope you're having a great weekend so far. Hope your Friday night was pretty awesome. Hope that if you're into football, you're ready for the playoff games today. And if you're not, you're just getting some relaxation in. Today, we're going to talk a little bit more about Ghislaine Maxwell. And we have an article from Law and Crime that was published on December 12th. And we didn't read this article when it came out. I wanted to wait a little while until there was some more Ghislaine Maxwell news. And now that we have that Ghislaine Maxwell news, knowing that she's going to be investigated, that she's being investigated right now, I think that this article will add a little bit more context to what's going on and give you a little bit of a look behind the scenes on the moves that Ghislaine Maxwell is trying to make to keep all of this stuff from coming to light. And it also goes into the same vein as if you were an innocent person, if you were not guilty of the things she's accused of, don't you think you'd want everything to come to light? Don't you think you'd want to say, hey, look, I wasn't involved in this. It was Epstein. It wasn't me. But she can't do that. Ghislaine Maxwell's hands are covered with so much blood in this case that it's not even funny. I'm of the opinion that Ghislaine Maxwell was the ringleader of this whole entire sordid affair. I am of the opinion that it was her father and his handlers that kicked it all into gear. And I believe that Jeffrey Epstein was more than a willing participant. Epstein became the figurehead for it, and Ghislaine Maxwell ran things from the shadows. That is my opinion of the whole situation, and that is why I am so gung-ho about Ghislaine Maxwell facing punishment, more so than anybody else, because I believe that she is the one that really kicked this into overdrive. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. Jeffrey Epstein was a sick, disgusting, depraved predator, right? And he definitely had his part in this, and I'm sure that they used to brainstorm, as sick as that may sound. These sick bastards would sit around and brainstorm. Her, Epstein, and Jean-Luc Brunel would sit around and they'd brainstorm on different ways to bring girls into their operation. That's my guess, all right? That's my opinion on the whole situation. I believe that those three were the heads of this trafficking ring, and I believe that Brunel was also being run by intelligence from one degree or another, either through Epstein and Maxwell, or perhaps he had his own handler. He spent a lot of time in Israel as well. Did he work with the Mossad? Who knows? There's really not much information about Brunel. Not too much for the public to eat up. So, in my opinion, from all the evidence that we have read so far and has come across my desk, it's a 1A and 1B situation, a 1A and 1B situation, in my opinion, with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. They were interchangeable heads of this whole entire thing, and I think that Maxwell needs to be held just as accountable as Epstein would have been if he was alive. And I don't care that Maxwell's a woman, okay? She's a predator, she preyed on these girls, and she also raped these girls. Never mind setting this whole entire thing up. Never mind never even once stepping foot into a jail cell to face any sort of punishment. Alright? Never mind any of that. Now, did Ghislaine have this all set up so that in the event things went south, that Epstein would be the fall guy? Who knows? It's certainly looking that way to me, though, folks. It's certainly looking that way to me. Alright, if you'd like to contact me, you can do that at Bobbycapucci at protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. Alright, so let's check out this article and see what's what. Like I said, it was published in Law and Crime, and it was published on December 12th by Colin Combacher. Headline: Ghislaine Maxwell argues it would be too difficult to release full Epstein files. Attorneys for Virginia Roberts, the woman who has accused Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew of abusing her while she was a minor, filed yet another motion arguing for full disclosure of unreleased documents in the seemingly never-ending case between the alleged victim and Epstein's close friend and accused madam, Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, why would anybody, unless you're named in those documents, be against those documents being released? We are at a time in America where people aren't going to be satisfied with just your, oh, well, we had a closed door grand jury hearing, or, we investigated ourselves. People are not going to be satisfied with that. People want to see what information are in these files. So the court needs to go ahead and release these files. Anything that has to do with the dead Jeffrey Epstein should be released. Anything that they're pursuing through the law, well, of course, I understand why you'd keep that close to your vest. But anything about Epstein at this point, release all of it. In a 5-page letter filed with the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York on Thursday, Roberts strongly criticized Maxwell's latest argument that releasing the full cadre of documents would somehow be difficult for the powerful men mentioned in those documents. Again, I don't care about those powerful men, and I don't care if their feelings are hurt, and I don't care if their businesses are ruined, and I don't care if they all end up in prison, okay? If they were involved, especially if they were involved in trafficking these young girls, if they were engaged in abusing these young girls, my man, you need to be put on blast. This all needs to come to the light. We need to spray the rays of sunshine on it, because that, we all know, is the best disinfectant of them all. The filing rubbishes those arguments as entirely inappropriate. The first 3 pages of Maxwell's submission, which 1. Detail the difficulty and complexity of complying with the court's instructions to provide reasons for maintaining under seal judicial documents to which the public has a presumptive right to access, and 2. Describe the tasks difficult to overstate importance to the lives of Miss Maxwell and the non-parties, serve no purpose. Difficulty is no reason to deny the public access to documents to which it is entitled under law. Maxwell is the party who seeks to protect these judicial documents from public scrutiny. The burden of providing specific reasons to do so, therefore falls on Maxwell, not plaintiff or the court. So what that is, that's legalese for them saying the defense for the prosecution, which is Virginia Roberts' attorneys. That's basically them saying that Maxwell's full of BS and that there's no reason for this information not to be provided to the public. Maxwell also recently claimed that the media's interest in the Epstein files was a reason they shouldn't be released because it led to reporters lurking in the bushes trying to obtain comments from Epstein's friends and alleged groomers of minors. Yeah, well, guess what? That's our job, okay? That's what reporters are supposed to do. Reporters and journalists that aren't on your payroll or that aren't scared of your intelligence sources or of not having access to you and your friends, that's what they do. Investigate, okay? Miss Maxwell, I know you don't like people poking around in your disgusting hostile style life, but I have news for you. The poking has just begun, and no matter what safe house you're hiding in or what hole you have climbed in, we will find you and we will get the answers that we need, and these girls will get their justice one way or the other, Ghislaine Maxwell. Believe it. This is your year, okay? A whole year dedicated to you. A whole year dedicated to turning the predators into the prey. And there is no bigger predator running the streets than Ghislaine Maxwell, folks. Maxwell also recently claimed that the media's interest, okay, blah, 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 we got that. Roberts' attorneys went after the peculiar argument as well. To the contrary, media interest demonstrates the public's strong interest in these materials, for which a strong presumption of public access applies, the filing continues. Maxwell's latest filing suggests that the Second Circuit's unsealing of 2,000 pages of sealed and redacted summary judgment materials caused increased media interest in Maxwell. Roberts' filing continues. To be clear, Maxwell has been accused of serious wrongdoing by multiple individuals in multiple lawsuits. The media's attention on Maxwell began long before the Second Circuit released the summary judgment materials in this matter. Bam! Headshot, kill shot. They just destroyed the whole entire argument of Maxwell's team right there. Okay? just destroyed it. It's not just this case that Maxwell's accused in. She's accused by multiple young girls of threatening them, trafficking them, abusing them, and nobody's going to stand up in the media and yell from the rooftops that this predator is still running the streets? Well, why would they? They protected their boy Harvey Weinstein. They protected their boy Jeffrey Epstein. Why would they come out now and go after Ghislaine Maxwell? That would be too much work for them. Adding another layer of secrecy and a decidedly bizarre attempt at procedural audacity to the ongoing battle over the full treasure trove of Epstein-related materials, Maxwell recently filed her latest opposition to releasing those documents under seal. This filing occurred without prior authorization from the court to do so. Again, Maxwell and her team doing whatever they want, filing documents without the court's permission, etc., etc. This lady thinks she is above the law, and she has to be stopped. Her ongoing criminal enterprise must be stopped, must be scattered to the four corners of the wind. Okay? Four corners of the wind. Enough is enough with this lady. Filing a court document under seal is typically done at the request of a court, or with the court's permission. A party filing under seal without the court's blessing is extremely atypical and only likely to further scrutiny. All right, so she's pulling out all the stops, okay? She is pulling out all the stops at this point, folks. She's just so frustrating, this Maxwell lady, folks. She is so damn frustrating. Maxwell does not identify any grounds for sealing the letter itself, which does not contain any sensitive information, Robert's attorneys point out in a footnote. The public has a keen interest in this unsealing process and is entitled to review Maxwell's arguments in favor of keeping these documents from its view. The underlying case is stylized as Virginia Roberts versus Ghislaine Maxwell and was originally brought in 2015 by Roberts against Maxwell on defamation grounds after Maxwell claimed Roberts was lying. Attorneys for Maxwell fought the defamation lawsuit for years before ultimately settling the case. The fight to release the records, affirmed by various courts to contain allegations against and denials from multiple powerful elites, became a huge matter of public interest after the Second Circuit ordered the release of the documents following Epstein's arrest in July of this year, as they well should have. All of these documents should already be out, and we should already have them in our hands. U.S. District Judge Loretta Preska has been weighing each side's competing arguments for and against disclosure for several months, and a timeline for her ultimate decision is currently unknown. So when you go to this article, there's on Scribd, you can read the 5-page letter, Virginia Roberts' submission, her full submission to the court. And it's a 5-page letter, and you can read that when you click on this link that will be in the description box. All right, folks, so there you have it. More information on Ghislaine Maxwell, more scumbaggery by her, more smokescreens, more hiding of information, and yet she is not wrapped up yet by the FBI in a nice little package with a bow on it. That's what should occur. She should be arrested, and then she should be questioned in a court setting or an interrogation room environment, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because this isn't going to work for anybody. She's hiding in safe houses. She's, filing stuff in court that usually only the court files. Where does she get off? Where does this lady get off thinking that she's, bigger than the world, that she has more power than the actual court itself? Well, I'll tell you where she gets off, folks. She's been groomed to feel like that. She's been taught to feel like that. She's been taught to think that she's better than the rest of us for her whole entire life. And since she feels that way, the women that were abused by her were not even human. They were playthings. They were just another way for her to advance her goals while at the same time feeding her own sick desires. Folks, Ghislaine Maxwell is as big of a predator as Jeffrey Epstein. Of that, I am certainly sure. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. If you would like to support the podcast, you can click on the GoFundMe link inside of the description box. I'll be back later on today with an evolution episode and a daily drop. Hope everybody enjoys their Saturday.